Okay.
I just realized I put something on my calendar for today, and it's today and it's now.
Did you?
Yeah.
Like now? You just
Yeah.
realized now?
Yeah.
What was it?
No commitment involved. It was just I was going to try to stop by Jerry Beck's presentation of the funniest cartoons of all time, which is normally at the Alex Theater in Glendale.
Yes.
But under the Alex Theater membership and leadership, they are today doing it at the Hollywood Legion.
Very nice.
Which is a great place to see a cartoon or anything else.
Trues. Multi-trues.
And
you
forgot. I can't do that because I'm here.
You're here.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You're here.
Some other time. And they're showing the recently unearthed and rediscovered Betty Boop cartoon.
Okay.
That called Buzzy Boop.
Buzzy Boop.
Betty's cousin Buzzy at the concert.
It's Betty's cousin Buzzy.
Yeah.
It's Betty's cousin Buzzy.
Yeah.
And what's Buzzy like? Is he a nice cousin?
Well, I don't know because I haven't yet seen the cartoon.
So it was unearthed and even you hadn't seen it.
That's right. It recently debuted at the UCLA Film Archive annual presentation of preserved films.
Sure.
But I haven't been there for that yet.
Okay.
But I play an incidental role in the rescuing of
You're
this
never
film.
incidental.
Thank you, darling.
You're never incidental.
It seems that my book of Mice and Magic.
No, it's not Buddy. Say the cousin's name again.
Buzzy.
Buzzy, like bzz. Buzzy. Buzzy was Betty's niece. Are you getting it wrong?
I haven't seen the cartoon.
There you go. Don't yell at him. He doesn't know nothing. He doesn't know nothing about nothing.
My book on animation of Mice and Magic was very much respected by the greatest of all Russian animators, Fyodor Khitruk, whom I met in the 70s in New York City.
Paul says, hello, Leonard Maltin and daughter Jessie from Brantford, Ontario's film enthusiast. Hello to you, Paul.
Hello, Paul. Anyway, Mr. Maestro Khitruk wanted to use my book as a text for the classes he taught in later years in animation, but it was only the English language where he did his own translation.
Wow.
Which must have been a painstaking and time-consuming task. And then he passed away, and two of his students, or former students, got in touch with me. I put them in touch with Penguin, the publisher of that book, and they licensed a complete and legitimate Russian translation of the book.
Amazing.
Which came out several years ago.
Amazing.
And these same fellows, if I got this right, were aware that they, behind the No More Iron Curtain, had two late Fleischer cartoon 35 millimeter copies that do not exist here in the Western world. And were never distributed to television. And now they have been, through diplomatic channels and ASIFA, the Animation Society, ASIFA Hollywood paid to have them transferred and digitized, and now they exist here at the UCLA Television Archive.
Amazing.
UCLA Film and Television Archive, to give them proper credit.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How cool.
It's a happy ending to a story.
Yeah. We like happy endings.
Yeah.
Yes. My lupus flares are still really, really bad right now. I've got it there. I tried to cover some of my face with makeup because otherwise it's just a lot to have to look at.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
a lot to have to experience, unfortunately.
I'm quite flared at the moment, but such is life. Probably doesn't help that I don't get to sleep that much, but you know what? Whatever.
However, little Daisy recently celebrated her 7-month birthday.
Yes, Daisy is 7 months old. Victoria asked if Daisy caught the Jubilee. My mom and I have been watching and sending stuff back and forth. And actually, when we're done here, we're going to go to our local pub and have
high tea.
We're going to have high tea because why not? And I'm excited about that. There's never a bad time. Let me 1 second, go back. Hi. Oh, I read that Leonard Maltin and Carrie I want to say Beauchamp because that's how it's spelled, Beecham, are doing an event at the Los Angeles Theater. Can you describe what it is? Yes. Last remaining seats.
This is an annual event, spans several weeks, put on by the Los Angeles Conservancy, our historical society. And they take over for these special evenings, sometimes matinees, the remaining movie palaces, most of them downtown.
Downtown LA has several really gorgeous movie palaces that were built
mostly in the 20s.
Mostly in the 20s, and they really are gorgeous. And so what they do is they sneeze. Excuse me. What they do is they show fantastic old movies for a very good crowd, a crowd that wants to be there and loves it.
I mean, sometimes as many as 2,000 people.
Yeah, and a lot of people get dressed up, which I love. It's just a blast. And there are sometimes there's a live pianist and or organist, as the case may be.
And special guests. And yeah. Next week, Carrie, distinguished author and historian, is going to introduce a matinee showing of The Women, Anita Lou's adaptation of the Claire Booth Luce play with an all-star female cast. All female, all-star. Norma Shearer, Joan Crawford, Rosalind Russell, et al. She's introducing that because...
Just trying to get you straight.
Sure.
There you go.
You've been trying to get me straight for a while.
Oh, okay. What can I say? There you go.
Okay. She's introducing that in the afternoon at the glorious Los Angeles Theater, built in 1931. It was the last of the movie palaces built because we were heading into the Depression. And then that evening in the same theater, it's my favorite of LA's movie theaters, palaces. That evening, I'm going to introduce Notorious, Alfred Hitchcock's Notorious, and get to chat with Jennifer Grant, the daughter of Cary Grant, the film star.
So it's a cool event. It's a great cause. So if you are here, come on down. And you're going to be doing a book signing.
Yes, that's true. I think Cary is as well.
Yeah. And again, using our pals at Larry Edmonds, they will be providing the books. So once again, when you buy the books from them, you're supporting a real bookstore, which is a very big deal too.
And a historic bookstore.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone who actually cares really deeply. Leonard, how would you have felt if Gorgo 1961 turned into a series like Godzilla did?
I don't know that I would have felt anything.
There you go.
Quite honestly. To give, I mean, just not a practiced answer. It's just how.
Just the reality. Yeah. What do you think of removing "We Are Siamese, If You Please" from Lady and the Tramp and other such excising ideas? Look.
Well.
Look. Here's the thing. No one deserves to feel offended, to feel like they are being attacked in some way, to feel like they are being belittled. I just learned the word Eskimo is apparently a bad word. I just learned that.
Truly.
Yeah. Someone said, oh, they use the E word. And I thought, what is the E? Like, I know a lot of words. What's the E word? Well, if you Google search the E word, what comes up is Eskimo, because apparently it was the people who were taking over the land. That is what they called them. They are not Eskimo. They are Inuit.
Okay.
Is a whole thing.
A day without learning is like a day without sunshine.
But the thing is, at what point can you sort of remove yourself from something and say, this is not that big a deal? So for example, something like "We Are Siamese," it's referring to cats specifically.
As they were referred to.
Because they're called Siamese cats.
Siamese cats, yeah, for a long time.
Do you think you could maybe deal with the fact that they're called Siamese cats and maybe deal with the fact that the song was written in 1955? I would really like to hope that you could deal with it, but I respect if you can't. I just wish to some degree that people would take a bit of ownership over that situation and say, then I'm not going to watch it, versus everyone else must not have this because I don't like it, is how I feel. How do you guys feel about it? I know we're pretty much the same on the.
One of my heroes, the humorist Roger Price, had a Price's Law. Price's Law was if everybody doesn't want it, nobody gets it. And it proves to be surprisingly the case.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
As I say, I would never want something that is, I would never want anyone to be hurt by something, obviously.
No,
obviously.
Of course not. Least of all, children.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Logan. Thank you, Logan. But yeah, so that's kind of the feeling, isn't it? Is if something is actively offensive, then obviously, you want to look at it. But at the same time,
in context, it was not done with malice.
No. Well, see that, and that's the other part, isn't it? Is where is something coming from?
Right.
The cats were literally called Siamese cats. It wasn't a nickname. It was what they were called.
Right.
So, in the same way that, again, learning that the word Eskimo is not a word you want to use, but then Eskimo kisses is this really sweet thing. I love to do. My daughter loves it. My daughter loves it if you do that to her nose, with your nose. She just loves getting face to face. So it's sort of like, I like saying Eskimo kisses, but I don't know. As I say, what do you guys think? How do you feel?
We try very hard to be aware.
Yeah.
Especially since we talk, and chat and write, for consumption by a great many people. We don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah.
We don't want to knowingly, use expressions that have become demonized.
Yeah.
One way or another.
Yeah.
But
look, and again, so we're Jewish, and there are times when you're watching something and someone uses a phrase. If you've never heard it before, then you don't know it, but you're going to Jew someone down or things like that. There are phrases that are used. Do I like it? No, but if it's if someone used it now, I'd go kick them. But if I'm watching a movie from a long time ago and someone says it, I don't necessarily feel the need to go to that movie and take a scissors and cut it out. I'd rather someone learn it. And we've all talked about this before. To me, if you just keep removing things, then how the hell do people learn about it? And how the hell do people learn about history? If you just kind of keep cutting it out, and what do they say? If you don't learn your history, you're damned to repeat it. So I don't think
doomed to repeat.
Doomed and damned. How about that?
Both.
Doomed and damned.
Both will work.
So that's how I feel. I don't know. Do you think Disney will ever revisit abandoned ideas like the Gremlins from World War II?
Well, in that case, no.
Yeah.
Not because of anything other than that it's dated. It was an idea that the not yet famous author Roald Dahl concocted and did drawings, and they wound up publishing a book. And for a brief time, Walt Disney thought that book could be adapted into a animated film. Mm-hmm. And he spent a little time, Mr. Dahl did, at the studio during the war, after he'd been banned from flying. He cracked up a couple times. He was an RAF pilot. So he ended up doing sort of goodwill work, for the cause, for the Allied cause. So no, I don't think that's going to get revived.
Christy's saying, in the same vein, when Song of the South is allowed to be released to the public, should it be? Christy, this is the thing that comes up so frequently, and all we can ever say repeatedly is they have made it into what it is. If you had just put it out there years ago now, decades ago, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. People don't even know why they're not supposed to watch it because they've never seen it. They don't know. And the fact that, which is crazy, the fact that Splash Mountain has existed as long as it has,
right,
with characters people don't know because they're not allowed to watch the movie. It's like, what?
Chuck Jones, in the 70s and 80s, there was a wave of protest about violence in cartoons.
Yeah.
This was when CBS used to show Warner Brothers cartoons on Saturday morning on their network. Mm-hmm. Not on a streaming channel, but on the free broadcast network. So it went into millions of homes. And they started cutting out Elmer Fudd's, shotgun.
Yeah.
And any semblance of violence.
Yeah.
And then with the Roadrunner cartoons, they became excerpts of Roadrunner cartoons.
Neat.
So Chuck's answer was, well, you grew up watching them. Did they affect you? Did they injure you in some way?
Mm-hmm.
Did they set you on a path of violence yourself? You can answer the question by being your own test case.
Yeah.
And much is the same. I mean, I grew up being familiar with Uncle Remus and Song of the South, and I don't think I'm a racist.
And you're not a horrible racist today. No. Look, everybody's going to be different. And again, but this is the thing to me, is that what you have is choice.
Yeah.
You have a choice.
Yeah.
If you are a parent who is uncomfortable with something, don't share that with your child.
Mm-hmm.
Simply. And this is true of many different things. Look, I never liked the Roadrunner cartoons because I didn't like the violence. I didn't like them. I didn't like that they were always hurting each other. I didn't find that funny. That was me. My parents didn't tell me this is violent, and whatever. I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
It's the same reason why, and it always comes back to the Three Stooges, doesn't it? I don't love the Three Stooges.
As almost everything does.
I don't love the Three Stooges because to me they're mean to each other, and as a kid especially, that was just not intriguing. I didn't like that. But again, my parents didn't have to say to me, Jesse, when you go to school, don't drop an anvil on someone's head, because I didn't think I should do that. Now, it is interesting today. I would say that in some cases, changing the gun violence might be useful.
As Steven Spielberg did.
Well, only so that kids know that if you do accidentally shoot yourself in the face, you don't just get soot on you.
Yeah, well,
that may be useful.
Yeah.
But, things are different. Christy's just saying that, because she wasn't allowed to watch it, she wants to watch it. It's on YouTube and you can buy copies of it.
Yeah.
Like it really, it's just fine. It's just Song of the South is fine. Like it's just not that big of a deal. But again, they've made it into this sort of myth thing. Hi, Mr. Maltin and your lively daughter. That's me. I am in the middle of the book, Take the Cannoli and Leave the Gun.
Someone just recommended to me yesterday.
Have you read it? And if so, did you like it?
I was talking about The Offer. You
can't stop talking about The Offer.
The 10-part miniseries based on the producer Albert Ruddy's memories of making The Godfather and all the problems that he encountered, the colorful and interesting problems he encountered, and said, "Oh, you ought to read that book," and so I'm about to order a copy.
A few people are also obsessed with The Offer, so you're not alone.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch it. My parents just haven't stopped talking about it, so
it's very watchable.
Yes,
it's very watchable.
I understand.
How true it is, I don't know.
That's something else.
But having met Robert Evans and having met, Francis Coppola, having met some of the people involved, I can tell you that the portrayal of Mr. Evans seems
that day at TCM with the bodyguard and the whole that was a trip.
Robert Evans, he was a trip. He definitely was a trip. And Matthew Good seems to be having a ball.
Yeah.
Playing.
Well, I mean, it would be a fun character to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's always funny when you are. I would say I love to be behind the scenes of any situation. I would rather be backstage at an award show than sitting in the audience any day of the week. I love working events and sitting in the back because it's just fascinating. It's fascinating to watch stuff happen. And when certain celebrities or certain guests are going to be on a show or they're going to do a Q&A, whatever it may be, it can be really, really funny because you watch backstage as people lose their minds in preparation. And that is something that's always gotten me, is the fact that you literally watch people freak out and run around knowing that somebody, whoever that may be, is coming. And as I say, it always makes me laugh I'm sorry, guys.
She's distracted.
Twitter is Twitter keeps dying.
Has just
the last
abandoned
couple
us
of weeks.
again.
It keeps doing it. Hang on, but let's try it again. So,
like you, when I was a kid, junior high school and high school, I always worked the stage crew.
Yeah,
because I liked that vantage point.
Fun.
I enjoyed that, but I didn't want to be a performer. I wanted to be around all of it.
Hearing ahead of time that they were worried. Robert Evans didn't have any crazy requests. It wasn't like he was a prima donna in this situation.
Oh, no. I was interviewing him before a screening of, I think, in one case, Chinatown.
Yeah.
And the other case, Love Story.
Yeah. It was just that, like, he had,
had a butler.
He had a butler with him? To which I was like, is that his assistant? They're like, no, butler. Like, they were very clear that it was his butler. And I was like, I have never in my whole life had someone be like, this is my butler. He goes where I go. It's like, this is fantastic. Hello from Japan. Hello in Japan.
Hello in Japan.
But yeah, and he was great. And you guys had a great conversation. No problem. But I just kept standing with the butler. I was like, hey man, how you doing?
And if you've seen the documentary, the very good documentary called The Kid Stays in the Picture, which is based on his autobiography, then you already have a sense of Mr. Evans. But I urge you, I may have just said this a week or two ago, I urge you to seek out the original audiobook release of The Kid Stays in the Picture. Because between recording that and recording the soundtrack for the documentary, he had a stroke. And he recovered quite well from the stroke, but he lost some energy, some extra edge in his delivery.
It's really interesting.
And that's the greatest audiobook I've ever heard.
Victoria says she got starstruck for Christmas, but it's unsigned. Victoria, send me a message on the Facebooks and I'll make sure that we send you a book plate. My dad will sign it for you. 1 second. Oh, there's a long one. Devin says, hey there, Leonard and Jesse. Mr. Maltin, I swear by your movie guide to this day. I currently regularly thumb through the last one you did, Leonard Maltin's movie guide, The Modern Era. There are essentials just penned a tribute, to the late Charles Ebert, who just recently passed of COVID-related pneumonia in San Francisco at 84. Any thoughts on Mr. Ebert? On Mr. Siebert's contribution over the years, and just got The Amazing Lady in a Cage, 1964, with Olivia de Havilland and a debuting James Caan on Blu-ray. A classic shocker that took me aback. Cheers and admiration from Collingwood, Ontario, Canada. And to you, sir. You got 8 questions. Ready, go.
And thanks for all the good wishes. Congratulations on getting hold of Lady in a Cage.
Yes.
Which also features a young Bruce Dern. It was a very memorable experience for him. And I haven't seen it in so many years. I don't have a salient opinion to share right now.
You and your salient opinions.
But I didn't know Charles Ebert well. And I'm sorry to hear of his passing. But he, I don't know what more to say than that.
Douglas says, my wife and I walked out of Everything Everywhere All at Once. We were nauseated, sick, thought the male lead was horrible. Everyone seems to love this film. What is wrong with us? I'll tell you what, Douglas, Alice and Leonard are in your boat. They didn't leave, but they really didn't like it.
Oh, my wife would have left.
She would have left.
Yeah, she would have left. I don't leave. It's a masochistic problem I have.
It is.
I admired the film and enjoyed it for a while. For a long while.
Yeah.
And then I thought it's done what it came to do.
Yeah.
And did it well. And Michelle Yeoh has never been showcased so.
She's amazing. And Michelle Yeoh is amazing.
Well. I mean,
she's amazing.
Everybody in it.
Yeah.
Is good.
But you don't have to like it. Yeah. You're allowed to not like it.
You're allowed to not like
it. It's always tough. I'll tell you, when my dad sees a movie that's getting really good reviews and then he doesn't like it, it's always a conversation for us because, first of all, here's a behind the scenes for you. Something like Rotten Tomatoes. They now, I say now, they have for a long time, but especially now, take their rating very seriously. So if you're talking to a studio publicist or someone, so that could be somebody at Warner Brothers or wherever it is. So let's say that Everything Everywhere All at Once has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Okay. And then the publicist emails my dad and says, "Hey, Leonard, are you going to review Everything Everywhere All at Once?" And he says, "Yeah, I really didn't like the film." Sometimes, depending on who it is and what it is, they'll actually ask you not to post on Rotten Tomatoes, to not add a rotten so that you break their 100%. It happens. And frankly, I understand, I understand it's their job. And, people pay attention to numbers. Do I think that something being 97% is a bad thing? No, but I also get that being able to put into all of your ads 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. So there are times when we don't post a negative review, in part because I'm going to kill you if you don't sit up. This young man, let me tell you, still recovering from his shoulder surgery, and I am on him because I do not want him to re-injure himself. There you go. Balance. You got it. I get where the publicist is coming from. And for us, it's like, you don't necessarily want to say something negative if you don't have to.
Yeah. It's a bit of a dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit of a dilemma.
Yeah.
I can add one new movie review that we haven't had a chance to post yet.
Yeah. If you watch The Baby, I can post it.
That's a deal. Mark Rylance, the great British actor, and Sally Hawkins, great British actress, star in a new movie called The Phantom of the Open. And it's based on a true story, a quirky true story that really, this kind of thing only seems to happen in Britain and England,
That's what makes it special.
That's why we're Anglophiles.
Proudly Anglophiles,
yeah.
Yes.
It's about a guy who's a working class guy whose job is somewhat threatened. Axe hasn't fallen yet, but it might. And he decides on pretty much whim to enter the British Open, though he has never played golf, not one game of golf in his life. But he has this kind of innate optimism. Where it comes from, we don't know.
Certainly not an English thing. I'll tell you that right now.
But he really, he feels, why not? Shoot for the stars. And the guy really existed. I don't know how much of it is true.
Yeah.
But
don't take me back to the We Bought a Zoo situation.
No. We P.S. that film with Matt Damon called We Bought a Zoo. All that's true.
The only part of that film, I'm not going to get upset because it gets me very upset.
Sky Bought a Zoo.
The only part about the film We Bought a Zoo that is accurate is that a zoo was purchased. That's the extent of the reality of that film. So I'm sitting in that theater weeping, and you walk out and you go to do some research. The only thing that's accurate is that a zoo was purchased. I was livid and clearly still am.
Anyway, this film, it's cute. It's charming.
And it's directed by?
And it's directed by the young actor who made such a splash in 2010.
Is that how old Submarine is?
Yes.
Jeez.
Yes.
Jeez, I can't believe it's that long ago.
I just drawn a blank on his name.
Roberts.
Yeah, Craig Roberts. Craig Roberts. This is his third feature as a director.
Jesus, 2010. How is that possible? And in the neat thing about Submarine is it's written and directed by Richard Ayoade. If you're a fan of his or if you are familiar with him, it is very quirky and perfect. So Craig Roberts is the lead, but it's Sally Hawkins, Patty Considine, Noah Taylor, like lots of really good people. Gemma Chan is in it, and I'm just looking through lots and lots and lots of good folks, which is so cool. It's a great little movie. But Craig Roberts has been working directing as well as acting and writing. And my parents, I've seen trailers for the film, but I hadn't seen it yet. Yeah. And my parents watched it and they loved it. So I thought that's really cool.
And it's called The Phantom of the Open. And it is not available at home. It's available in New York and Los Angeles theaters as of this weekend. And they promise it'll play in more theaters across the country, especially if the reaction and response is good.
Yeah. Let's see.
To this so far.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm excited about that.
It's a small movie.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, does it? A good movie is a good movie.
Well, watching Mark Rylance and watching Sally Hawkins is just a pleasure.
Yeah.
A pleasure.
Hi, Jesse and Leonard. Just recently, my father, named Bo Hopkins, passed away.
Yes.
His life and legacy will live on forever. That is true. That is very true. I'm so sorry for your loss. Obviously, I get the whole being close to your father thing, which is why he's not allowed to die. I have informed him of this.
Did we not have we had a lunch together, I believe. And it was a memorable and lovely lunch.
Yeah.
And I wish you Godspeed. And nothing but positive memories of your dad.
Mm-hmm. Jack is saying, what were your thoughts on Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel? Did you ever meet them?
Yes, I did. Answer the last part first. Yes, I did.
Oh, yeah.
Not often, because they were in Chicago and I was a New Yorker who then moved to Los Angeles.
Person, yeah.
So I saw them usually at Oscar time. And in those days, there used to be a television syndication convention called NACP, which moved from city to city as the years went by. And I often saw them there. We took a funny picture together. They're both doing thumbs up.
One of my favorite. I post it all the time because it just makes me laugh.
And then I got to know Roger somewhat better.
Yeah.
In his later years.
Gene passed away a long time ago.
Yeah.
A long time, because I was a kid. Gene's been gone a very long time. And then Roger, I guess it's now been 7 years, something like that. I think he died in 2014, something like that.
Anyway, we all respected each other as colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always happy to get to talk to them.
You and Roger had a really good time together.
Yeah.
You enjoyed each other very much.
Yes, and we often found ourselves with our wives at the Telluride Film Festival in Colorado, and at least once at the Toronto Film Festival. And
Roger's exact words to me at the Toronto Film Festival, when he sent me to buy everyone popcorn, was, "This is why kids are useful." I think I was 12.
My great regret,
like 12 years old.
My great regret is that I did not get to read them at the time that I first met them. But Roger was an early adopter of computers, of internet, and then of the possibilities that it provided. And he took his entire backlog of reviews and posted them for free online. And that, because he wasn't carried in the New York paper or the LA papers that I had access to.
Yeah.
But subsequent to that, I started reading his older reviews and became a real fan. And because if you just saw them on TV, of course, they were smart. They were funny to watch because they kept needling each other so much.
Yeah.
But that was, and it was not an act, by the way. It
was just, it's escalated.
Yeah.
What TV can do is it can just, you escalate a bit. And obviously the whole, what people enjoyed were them sort of arguing and being ridiculous. In real life, Roger was not, he's not cantankerous person running around yelling at people. That was not him in the slightest. And his wife, Chaz, who we're still very close to, who is amazing. They
were a great partnership.
They were a gorgeous couple,
great team.
And she still honors him in so many beautiful
and runs
ways.
RogerEbert.com.
Yeah. And continues their film festival that they still have, Ebert Fest. So yeah, we have a lot of happy memories. As I say, with Gene, I was really too young and he passed away. I'm sure I must have met him once at some point, but I don't really remember him. And I know you didn't see him much, but Roger, we have a lot of funny memories with. He was a good guy. And it's still strange to think that he's not around.
Yeah.
It's one of those. We were actually, Mommy and I were talking about, I mentioned a few weeks ago, my mom's brother passed away, and that's her only sibling. But he lived in Florida. And my mom and I were saying, it is such a strange thing when someone passes away and they don't live near you.
And you haven't seen them lately.
Yeah. Well, even if you have, because it's just like, they're not really gone. They're just sort of away.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. He's still just sort of on the other end of the phone kind of a thing. And I find that true for a lot of people. To me, Roger is just somewhere in Chicago and everything's fine. Christopher saying, do you write film reviews as the credits start or do you wait till you get home?
I wait till I get home.
So he used to take notes in the theater. When you had to watch a lot of, I think that your method changed when you, didn't have to watch so many movies.
Yes, it's changed more than once.
Yeah.
There was a time when I started out when I did take notes.
Yeah.
And
he had a pen that had a little light on the bottom of it. So when he wrote, he could turn it off.
Pain in the neck, never quite worked.
But
good idea that never quite.
Yeah.
The execution left me wanting.
I got really good at writing in the dark. That's what I did. I got really good at writing in the dark.
But that was when I was writing or delivering reviews on a regular basis
for TV and for the book.
Yeah. But then I said, if I don't remember this later tonight or the first thing tomorrow morning, maybe it's not worth remembering.
But I think not having to write and do as much was a significant difference because part of the whole writing, and in terms of if he usually tries to write as soon as he gets home so that it's all fresh.
Right.
But especially at film festivals or anytime we see a lot, he's learned to dictate to his phone.
Yes. While the thoughts are fresh and before they get muddied
by everything else,
watching everything else,
he'll dictate into his phone, which is useful. But yeah, when I wrote for the book, I had this little notepad that I would carry with me, and I got really good at writing in the dark, and I was always proud of myself because I could do things in lists. These are skills that serve no purpose, but I got really good at it. I like to write down quotes. If someone says something either really stupid or really brilliant, I'd write it down. Eric says, I distrust Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, I mean, look, some people like to have things in a cut and paste sort of a way. They like their numbers, they like their percentages, but
they like thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah, everybody's allowed. You're allowed to do it. I think that the truth is most things are not that simple, unfortunately, unless
even when Gene and Roger took criticism. How can you summarize a complex movie with a thumb up or a thumb down? Well, that was just a shorthand.
It's just easier.
Headline.
Yeah.
But then they trusted that if you were really interested in the film, you would read their essay, you would read their review. Yeah. And I feel the same way.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna bang through some questions. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay.
No. 1952.
Boxers.
And
I know your jokes. What are some great books and or biographies about Edward G. Robinson you would recommend?
I wouldn't, because I never read his son's book, Edward G. Robinson Jr., who did not have a good relationship with his dad. And so I have it in my library on the shelf. I never read that. And I don't know of, there may be a recent publication about him that I'm unaware of. So I've not read a full-length biography.
Our pal Ryan says, I remember you mentioning before that you have animation art of Katharine Hepburn from the 1938 silly symphony Mother Goose Goes Hollywood. I'm Little Bo Peep and I've lost my shape. Really, I have. That's the character she plays. I'm interested to know if you got the cell from her when you interviewed her or if you obtained it another way. Nope, he purchased it.
What I did learn while our crew was packing up, I was continued chatting with Miss Hepburn in her brownstone apartment. I saw some other artistic rendering of her, and I said, "Do you know about the Walt Disney cartoon?"
Mm-hmm.
And she says, "Oh yes, says I have some artwork that he gave me at the time." Well, that let me know that she wasn't offended by it,
right?
Or didn't find it tasteless or anything like that. So then when I did stumble, and that's the word, stumble onto an original cell at the Pasadena Antique Show a year or so later and purchase it, I did so with the hope that someday I would get to meet her again and she would sign the mat which she did.
She did.
I carried it up to Vancouver, Canada, through TSA and all of that in bubble wrap. And I asked if she would sign it to the Maltins, to all of us. And she did. She was very obliging, and she did that. And on the mat, we'd taken the glass out of the frame, and she spaced it out just right. And when she finished, she said, "I did that rather well, didn't I?" And the answer is yes, she did.
Yes, Miss Hepburn. Yes, Miss Hepburn. Matt says, from the stage to the screen, do you have a favorite Tennessee Williams film adaptation? I just saw Suddenly last summer from 1959, and the film perfectly uses three legends: Liz Taylor, Kate Hepburn, and Monty Clift. Their excesses / reputations off stage seem to inform the fictional characters in a unique way.
Well, that's true. That's true. But I think I lean toward A Streetcar Named Desire because it was just such a landmark, and those performances are so good, so rich. Nothing to disparage, Suddenly Last Summer, but Streetcar, which preserved Brando's Broadway performance, and it's about as good as it gets.
Do you think the Oscars should be on TCM instead of ABC? That's an interesting question.
Yes, an interesting question.
Couldn't hurt at this point.
Yeah. But TCM could never, and this is not a matter of gossip.
No.
TCM could never afford to pay what ABC and other international television entities pay out for the rights to show that.
But in the sense of, would that be better? Yeah, because they actually give a blank. So, yeah. With the new Jurassic flick opening Friday, I wondered if you have a favorite Harryhausen dinosaur movie: The Animal World, 1 Million Years BC, or The Valley of Gwangi?
Gwangi. I think it's Gwangi.
Although Miss Welch is a spectacular effect, I'll go with Gwangi. Happy June from St. Lou. Thank you, Jim.
The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms still has some pretty startling stuff in it. It's not officially a dinosaur. It's an octopus or a tentacled creature. My favorite Harryhausen of all is Seven Voyage of Sinbad.
So good.
Yeah.
What could be better? Actually, I wrote this down because we were talking about this yesterday, and I thought it was so cool, and I want my dad to talk to you guys about it because I'm not sure if you've heard this before. But something called quota quickies, which is my new favorite phrase. We were in my parents' room watching, was it The Citadel? Is that what it came on? The Citadel was on TCM. And you guys mentioned that
The Citadel was an MGM movie starring the great Robert Donat.
That's what it was. Mommy said, I wonder.
Russell.
My mom was commenting, saying, I wonder what golf course they used for one shot.
There's a golf scene, yeah.
And my dad said, well, it's somewhere in the UK because this was one of the quota quickies.
Well, yeah, except this wasn't a quota quickie. But it's blah, 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 blah. Okay. The people in Great Britain have always resented, and understandably resented, the fact that Hollywood dominated their own homegrown film industry. Especially true in the 30s and 40s, and it changed in the 50s somewhat. And so it was like carpetbaggers almost coming into their country and sucking out all this money from the box office returns of those movies. So they passed legislation that required studios like Warner Brothers and Paramount to produce movies in England for the British audience and make use of the monies there. And so they followed the letter of this legislation, if not the spirit. And Warner's opened a studio in Teddington. TCM did a tribute to these a couple of years ago and made what were called then quota quickies. These were B movies in every sense of that term, that were just required. They were required to make films, not required to spend a lot of time or money or effort on the quality of those films. That's why they were called quota quickies. Now, as it happens, MGM decided to do something different.
Yeah.
They made really good films over there. Goodbye, Mr. Chips, The Citadel, The Yank at Oxford. Those were all MGM British films. And then after World War II, they either rewrote or reinforced that law, which is why Walt Disney started making films in England. That's why Treasure Island was a Walt Disney British production. And The Story of Robin Hood and His Merry Men, and Rob Roy, The Highland Road, and The Sword and the Rose. Those were all making use of what were called frozen funds. Money that Walt couldn't take out of the country and use elsewhere.
Interesting, because can you imagine today all of the places people film?
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of places that are incredibly popular. Bulgaria, Budapest, all kinds of places. Imagine if you had to. You could only spend the money you make where it is.
Yep.
If you're not familiar. Something that it plays a key role in money making in film is how films do in Asia. It is a huge part of box office. Huge. You know how sometimes you'll see, oh, there's a sequel to whatever it is, and you go, why would anyone make a sequel? Because the first one did so well in Asia that they made a sequel because it's going to make them tons of money over there. It's a whole world, and it's fascinating. But imagine if you had to do that now.
Yeah.
Where you had to keep the money you made in the places, and you had to go, and you could only spend the money there. It's wild. When did it end?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Walt made British films into the 60s, The Fighting Prince of Donegal.
Yeah.
So it at least the 60s.
Mm.
And those frozen funds. It's why 20th Century Fox. One of the reasons 20th Century Fox made that great film noir Night in the City in London,
mm-hmm.
and sent over Richard Widmark and Gene Tierney, and had them make it in England.
Evanier said, I would like Leonard to name his favorite movie that had Margaret Dumont in it, but no Marx Brothers. Listen, Mark.
Never give a sucker an even break with W.C. Fields.
How about them apples? Please don't hate us, Mark. We love you. Show off your little flag that you've got.
I've got some Harold Lloyd collectibles today.
You do.
One of them just
Can
out
I
of
help
reach.
You? Whoops. Hang on. I'll move the table. It's
sorry.
okay.
Move it back.
Table's coming back.
Move it back.
All right.
All right. Here's a wonderful piece. Because first off, it's a great likeness of Harold Lloyd, and it's made of bisque.
This is. I didn't know for years what this was, and finding out, I still think it's the coolest thing ever. So just so you can see it. So here he is. Okay. The back of him, he has these holes in his head. See? On the side there, you put your cigarette here. You put your cigarette there, and the smoke comes out of his head, but it's where you would rest your cigarette.
Or, alternatively, it's an incense burner.
That would be tricky, but I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have a Harold Lloyd incense burner, I ask you? But yeah, I think that's so cool and completely random. This little guy, yes, I've spent much time trying to do this. My dad's office is full of these toys, and this is how I spent much of my childhood, was trying to solve them. This is one where you have to move, you have to shake it around to try to get his glasses on him. It's reflective. But yeah, so you shake it around to try to get his glasses to sit perfectly. I'm pretty close. Oh yeah.
That's
I nailed
close.
it. I nailed it on that one. I can't really show you because if I move it. Yeah.
How much were those eyeglasses a part of his persona? Well, here's a cardboard giveaway.
I like that you didn't clean off the dust first.
Yeah.
That is disgusting.
Last minute thought. It's hanging on a wall in a place it collects dust. Anyway. But I love the fact that the theater, we don't know where that theater is located. The theater that ran this was only playing it for one day. And still they went to the trouble of ordering these eye-catching.
Friday, one day only. This.
And then I actually have a second one of these that I couldn't reach easily, but here's a pennant, which is appropriate because it's for his movie, The Freshman, which is a rah-rah football. So one of his greatest comedies, truly one of his greatest comedies. And I also have from that what was called the photoplay edition.
Hi, Lynn.
I do not have the dust jacket.
Ooh.
For this one.
You don't have a dust jacket. Ooh.
No. I have a lot without a dust jacket because in those days,
I
used to buy these for 10 cents and 25 cents until I found out later that they had dust jackets. It's like, oh dear. But what they have is they have nicely reproduced stills from the movie spotted throughout the text. And
Larry Smith says why can't I say that word? Cinematograph. What he said. Films Act of 1938 was repealed in 1960, ending the quota quickies. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Now, this is interesting because there's a byline here. It's an author credit.
Russell Holman.
But Russell Holman writes this: to Harold Lloyd, whose genius makes The Freshman live upon the screen more vividly than one could hope to catch him between the covers of a book, and of whom Will Hayes so truthfully said he couldn't make anything but fine, wholesome pictures if he would, and he wouldn't if he could. And then there's another page of acknowledgement to Harold Lloyd's team of screenwriters and gag writers who produced the film that he novelized.
There you go.
And there's a little bit of Harold Lloydiana.
Toys. What do you think you have the most of?
Chaplin.
Yeah.
There's more because there's just more made.
I would think Bugs Bunny and Chaplin are your two.
Well, cartoon characters,
No, but I'm saying you personally.
Me?
Yeah, you.
I think Charlie Chaplin, because Chaplin was merchandised early and often.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you definitely have a lot of Chaplin, but I would say you also have a pretty fair amount of Bugs.
Yeah.
And Mickey. I guess a lot of Mickey.
Yeah.
A lot of Mickey.
Yeah.
Jack is saying, what do you think about how there's going to be a horror movie about Winnie the Pooh coming out?
Oh, no. It's somebody's going to exploit the fact.
Oh, yeah. Blood and Honey.
Yeah.
That looks horrific.
Yeah. Somebody's going to exploit the fact that Winnie the Pooh is about to pass into the public domain.
So they're going to take it and burn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They won't get my $1.75 or whatever it costs to go to the movies now.
No, Frank, we never forget about Buster Keaton. And believe me, my dad has a lot of Buster Keaton stuff. A lot. It's funny. So looking around just the room that we're in right now, one shelf has a bunch of my mom's Royal British commemoratives. Someone asked earlier how mommy's celebrating the Jubilee. As I say, we're going to go and have some tea. We're going to go have high tea at the pub. But she also, we didn't really get anything for the Jubilee except the Barbie, I guess.
Yeah.
Two things. My mom got a really adorable pillow with corgis on it. That's a lot of fun. And then Mattel came out with a Barbie of Queen Elizabeth, and we got that for her, which is cool.
Got that in spite of the fact that it was completely sold out the moment they announced it.
It was a whole thing. We had to battle to find one. But damn it, we found a way.
We did. I should say about Buster Keaton in terms of collectibles, he is more difficult to represent or caricature. Anyone, a 4-year-old could draw a version of Charlie Chaplin, a credible version of Charlie Chaplin as the tramp. And even Harold Lloyd, because of the straw hat and the horn-rimmed glasses, is pretty recognizable, even if it's not expertly done. But Buster, there's the pork pie hat, of course, but how do you show him? And in what pose?
A hat and a serious face, I guess, is kind of as close as you get.
It's tougher.
Did you get the Geppetto mask that was on eBay?
I have a Geppetto mask.
He doesn't need the stinking Geppetto mask. He has a Geppetto.
No.
I know. What is your favorite Helen 12 Trees movie?
Did you? No, that's Jenny asking. No, I already have the Geppetto mask. I don't think I have the whole set from Pinocchio, but pretty sure I have Geppetto.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
So many. I am looking at the. So you got up there. You've got Roy Rogers and Dale Evans. Above that, you have something from Song of the South. Next to that, you've got Our Gang.
And Jackie Coogan hiding a little bit behind.
Oh, I couldn't see Jackie in the background there. Shelf, yeah. And then another shelf has Laurel and Hardy and the Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz.
And Hopalong
Cassidy. And yeah.
It goes on.
There's a lot of stuff here. There's a lot of stuff here. Yeah, because a few of you are asking what he collects, and the answer is all kinds. It's everywhere.
And when people ask what I'm looking for, what I'm still looking for,
whatever you like.
Well, I'm looking for the piece that I don't know exists. I'm looking for something I don't know about. I would never go looking for a Harold Lloyd cigarette holder or incense burner.
You would. Yes, you would.
I wouldn't have guessed that there would be such a thing.
Let's okay. We're going to end with Nick's question. Did you ever meet Edgar Bergen?
No, I'm very sorry to say. I was on the other coast. He lived here in Los Angeles, and I never had an opportunity to meet him. I don't know if he ever appeared in New York during my lifetime. He did have a triumphant moment late in his life and career. It may have been weeks before he died. I'm trying to remember the story now, and you'll all check this out. He played Las Vegas, and I don't know if he ever played Las Vegas before. And at this time, Edgar and Charlie were on the Muppet Show in the late 70s. They went to London to tape an episode of the Muppet Show, and the Muppets sang "Consider Us," "Consider Yourself" from Oliver to Charlie McCarthy and Edgar. And it was very sweet. But people thought they sort of lost his edge, and he was never that great a ventriloquist. He was a better comedy writer and performer than an actual ventriloquist. And when you're a kid, kids can be cruel, as you know. You can see his lips moving. Yeah, it's not the point. Anyway, he went on the Tonight Show. I stayed up late to watch him with Johnny Carson, and he was on fire. He and Charlie and Mortimer Snerd, the material was very, very funny and very sharp and not at all old-fashioned. And in that mode, he played Las Vegas and triumphed. He had this sort of grand finale, you might say, a valedictory appearance.
Yeah.
At a Vegas club. And I was so happy to read that and hear that and to get to see a little of it.
Yeah.
When he was on with Johnny Carson.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But I never did get to meet the man. I'm very sorry about that.
But you have met Candice Bergen.
I have met his daughter.
You've gotten to talk to her many times.
Yep.
So at least that.
And you also got to meet Candice's daughter.
Well, yeah, no, we've told you. So we've told you this before, but her daughter, Chloe, is the same age as I am, and they live here. And so not only did we play them in sports, but when we were all 10 years old, we were in Telluride for the film festival, and Chloe, myself, and Lily Burns, Ken Burns' daughter, sold lemonade together. And to raise money, we decided that we would sell lemonade and give the money at the festival at 10 years old. So that's an amusing memory for me. Oh gosh. Well, my friends, it is that time, and I'm taking my mother off to tea. But we hope that you are having a good week, that everyone is being safe and taking good care of yourselves. I know there's a lot of stuff happening again. Please just take good care of yourselves. Be nice to each other. It's all chaos that we're living in. So let's just do our best, right? We will be here next Sunday as usual. And if you have any questions, you send them our way.
Be kind.